the Prophet of Mercy. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, and peace and blessings upon the messenger, the master of prophets and messenger, Muhammad and his household. Merciful is one of the 99 names of Allah the Almighty, and a crucial part of the Basmala that I started my speech with. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. The Basmala is what we start with before reading any surah of our holy book of Quran, to remind us again with those names of Allah, the Almighty, the most gracious, the most merciful. And before starting my topic, I find myself obliged to share with you some interesting facts about the word mercy in the Holy Book of Quran. According to the electronic Quran website of King Saud University, the Arabic word Rahmah, translated to mercy, is mentioned 73 times in the Holy Book of Quran. The word Rahim, translated to merciful, is mentioned 115 times. And the word Rahman, translated to most merciful, is mentioned 64 times. One of the many significant blessings of Allah the Merciful to mankind is sending Prophet Muhammad. Allah the Almighty addresses the Prophet in verse 107 of Surah Al-Anbiya of the Holy Book of Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. And we have not sent you except as a mercy to the world. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him and his household, is undoubtedly an evident embodiment of mercy, as he is for every moral and humane values we can think of. Allah the Almighty imposes this fact in the Holy Book of Quran in verse 128 of Surah At-Tawbah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم عزيز عليه ما عنتم حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم. There has certainly come to you a messenger from among yourselves. Grievous to him is what you suffered, concerned over you, and to the believers is kind and merciful. Historians have written and documented many stories and situations showing the mercy of Prophet Muhammad. Indeed, he is the Prophet of mercy. He was a messenger to Allah and Islam for 23 years of his 63 years of age. However, he has been always, through his old age, the figure of mercy in his time to everyone around him. His mercy, peace and blessings be upon him and his households was more manifested after he announced his call to Islam. He and his companions and family suffered from the opposition of non-Muslims, including the polytheists of his own tribe, Quraysh. He, peace and blessings upon him and his households, was regarded as crazy, as magician and monk. His companions were tortured and killed because they answered his call to Islam. He was fought against in several battles where he was severely injured, yet he was always praying for all mankind, regardless of their belief, color, or gender, that may Allah guide them to the righteous path. Gabriel, the angel, told the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him and his household, that he is ready for any command. And if the Prophet wished to destroy all opponents, he can do that in no time. But the Prophet did not agree on that because of his compassion with his nation. Another story happened when the Prophet chose to call for Islam in the city of Taif. After spending a decade of calling within his hometown, Mecca, not only did they refuse his call and ridiculed him, but also they sent their children to chase him and his friend and to throw stones on them. And after all what he received from them, he prayed to Allah saying, "O my Lord, guide my people along the true path, as they are ignorant of the truth." The Prophet was also a true meaning of the good neighbor. He had a Jewish neighbor who was throwing garbage in front of his door. Prophet Muhammad never did harm to him nor took revenge. And when he noticed that the garbage was no longer thrown on his door, he asked about the neighbor to know that he was sick at home. The Prophet was, with his kindness, visited the man and kept looking after him until he recovered, forgetting that he was ever bad to him. He, peace and blessings be upon him and his household, was also very merciful to his family. In fact, he was raising them to be as merciful as he was to people and to each other. He was taking a special attention and care to his grandsons, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, peace be upon them. They certainly inherited his kindness, compassion, and mercy to the people. The Prophet once said, "Hussein is of me, and I'm of Hussein." Imam Hussein, as a grandson of the Prophet, was a true representation of the Prophet's humane values and attributes during the period in which he lived. Before the day of Ashura, a huge army of 1,000 soldiers was trying to prevent Imam Hussein from reaching to Kufa in Iraq. But the soldiers of this army, which was led by the famous knight Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, were full of thirst. However, because of the mercy of Imam Hussein, he commanded his companions to quench those thirsty soldiers and their horses. Yes, to quench the soldiers who came to fight him. Imam Hussein personally approached the very last soldier of that army to help him in drinking water and to quench his thirst. In the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein's enemies prevented him, his family members, and few companions from reaching to the water. They fought him while he was thirsty, and when he fell down, several soldiers of his enemies kept stabbing him with their swords. Ali al-Ta'an was one of those soldiers. Ali al-Ta'an was the same last soldier that Imam Hussein quenched when he, peace and blessings be upon him, had control of the water. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.